Today, Doug, I've got small little brick buildings with metal doors that lift over the top and generally release a funk of dampness and despair. And I'm talking about old school car garages. And I'm talking not where you go and get your car fixed, but where you go and put stuff. So I have been in a spot of trouble with a couple of my little classic cars that I've got, trying to house them, because where I live, terraced housing doesn't come with a garage because that's just the natural way it is. So I've been looking around Nottingham trying to find local garages, and I didn't think this was going to be a problem because there are hundreds, genuinely hundreds, either attached to larger houses or blocks of flats or anything else like that, and they're everywhere. However, I have found it incredibly difficult to source these garages. You go to Facebook Marketplace, they just never really arrive. If they're on Rightmove, they're put through across the city and could be miles away. If you go to Gumtree, that is generally the Wild West. But I spoke to two, and the situation that I found was that the terms and conditions of what they want for their garages completely vary. So the ones I've got in at the moment, 6 months up front. I'm like, for a garage? And like, oh yeah, and they want 3 months of deposit. I'm like, this isn't a flat in like Crystal Palace. You know, what's this about? And they're like, oh, it's because of this, because of this, because of this, etc., etc. But there are hundreds of garages that are out there that I don't think are being utilised. And I think the main issue that people have is that it's sometimes not worth their work, not worth their effort. The guy I met last night, who I'm probably going to have to take the garages from because it's only a 10-minute walk, he wanted 3 months deposit and 3 months up front. And we're talking like $1,000 to move into a garage, to put your cars in a garage, which I think is excessive. So there's a business out there called Stashbeat. You know, what they've done, they've set up a marketplace where people can list their garages and people can buy them, and they suggest pricing by square foot. What this needs to be, this simple idea, is a grind for 6 months to a year to go and build up an inventory of contacts, right? An inventory of contacts. I've got the chap down this road, his name's Jack, got the chap up the road who's, I actually forget his name, Rob. And you go and get his genuine, it's called Rob. Rob tried to fucking nail me for like months and months and months of deposit. I'm like, I'm sticking a car in it, dude. One guy wants a proof of address. I'm like, what do you think I'm going to do to this garage? It's empty space. Anyway, so I think once you do a grind...
How much are they? Sorry, like what sort of pricing is it? Just give me...
Well, that's the crazy thing. When I moved here a year ago, it was £60 a month. Now it's £120. It's gone crazy. So the garages I'm up the road I'm looking at, my small car's going to go into an 85-pounder. My ridiculous American car, because it's really long, is going to have to go into a big garage, which is £145 a month. But so I think what the potential business could be is slog it out, grind it out around a city, and get the contacts to the people that own these garages. And there are hundreds, if not thousands, just in Nottingham alone. I think you become the place where requests are placed, because it's in Facebook groups and no one cares. Everyone's like, oh, can I have a garage? No responses. Because no one knows anything. It's opaque. It's like no one knows who these places are. So I think if you can crack the inventory side, and I don't mean a Stashbeat, get them to put on their website, because that's not going to work. And you go and say, right, I've got Rob's details, I've got so-and-so's details, and you manage what that inventory looks like as best you can, understanding when that garage is coming free. You become the agent of sale, and you take a percentage cut for each time. You handle the deposits, you handle the payments, and you distribute it. This guy wants freaking cash. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm not going to go and hand over loads of cash to you without any trail. You know, it's not going to happen. It's just ropey. So yeah, the idea, high touch marketplace where you're managing and being the estate agent, if you will, for garages.
Yeah. So you're basically like a letting agent here, aren't you? Where you're letting out these garages for people.
Yeah.
What do you think the demand is?
Silly high. He said, I can put my garages on Facebook, they'll be gone in a day. And I know that because the one up in this town just further north, it's no mark really where it is. He manages 12 garages up there. He has a waiting list, I think, of 7 people to pay double what I was currently on.
What's the use case for garages? It's just people's cars that they don't want wrecked.
No, it's a mix. I mean, I'm probably fairly rare in the fact that it is cars. There's a guy who's taken mine that I'm meeting tonight. He wants to put. He's a carpenter. He's a chippy. He's putting wood in there because it's dry. So it's just storing wood.
What do you think? So what do you think the most common? What about like home storage? Just people throwing in like.
Yeah, that's fairly common. I mean, the big box storage. So I guess it's like a little bit like big box storage, but I think you've got the flexibility of it being wherever. It's not. You don't have to go in there, and it's a lot cheaper because they charge per square foot, and it can be like run to 300, 400, 500 quid because it's in those secure buildings. I think this is like you take it, you secure it, you put your locks on it. This is where it is, but you're removing the shit about having to go and source it and negotiate with what it's like.
Yeah, I definitely get it I get it completely from the buyer's perspective. If you could present to them, look, this is Nottingham. I've got 300 units. They're all over. This is where they are. This is what they cost. This is a profile for each one. That's definitely valuable, and I think people would come to that. I suppose the question is, and I get why it doesn't work as a sort of people. I hate these businesses, and I know I'm a Luddite, but I hate these businesses where people try to just do too much remotely. They try to put too much tech in it. And that we do a recruitment in South Africa, and there were a ton of competitors that tried to do this remote. They tried to do this using tech, and that people put profiles on, and you can contact those people. Does not work. There is so much nuance to putting these things together, and I think even something like garages, I'd much prefer to just phone up someone that's got 300 garages in their book than just like go online and do a deal, because it's kind of long term, isn't it? But
it is. Yeah.
How do you get the garages?
Well, that's the challenge, right? One thing I have seen is that a number of them have mobile phone numbers attached to them. Right, and I haven't phoned up a lot of them just because of the size of the cars that I need to kind of house. But I think that's the slog. I think if you can go and build relationships and have inventory with these people, and these people can then go and say, I don't need to worry about it. Rich and Doug's garage business are going to go and fill this for me instantly. I don't need to do any of the admin. These people don't want to do shit because it's generally not worth it for them to get into the relationship. And they all seem quite tired and frustrated about having to go and deal with me, who's a little bit flaky. They would definitely want someone to sit in front of them and who was very clear to kind of say, this is how it is.
I'm going to just rail a 180 on myself here and just say it does remind me a little bit of, that, I can't remember what it's called, that business where you get a parking space. And I know that's different in that that's often a one-off transaction, like you're going into town, you need a parking space. But people do use those kind of long-term, commuters use those. And I think maybe that works.
The only challenge about this is recurring income. This is a monthly, quarterly, if you're a complete arse up the road, 6 monthly. How much can you realistically claim off the top? How much can you actually make revenue-wise? I've never built a model around this. I don't know. I'm understanding the frustration from both sides of it, and I'm thinking it's so opaque. People do not know where to search. So if you can solve that, and you can also go and say, "Look, we got this. We got this managed. You will. Your occupancy will be up there. Your occupancy will be full."
Yeah, I think you can charge a decent amount. If you're paying 145. The problem is if the garage owners can fill it themselves, then maybe they don't want to pay it. But that's the same as any market where you're renting something. I think you could make 10 to 30% on top, or take 10 to 30%. So let's say the 145 a month. I don't know. Maybe you can make £30. You have 1,000 garages, and you've got.
The interesting inventory as well is Nottinghamshire City Council here, and I know this, and I know it's the same in Brighton as well. They all manage them, and it's a part of the parking permit side of the business in councils. And they manage, 600 or 700 across maybe 30 sites. And they are set price, but you can't get through to them. You just can't get through to them. You have to phone them up, and they're like, oh, yeah, Jeff again. Jeff, who owns garages everywhere, Jeff isn't in. Jeff's not in till so-and-so, he's gone and done this. If you went to the council and said, we will manage and monetize all of your garages, let us look out for that, let us do that, we will provide revenue for you that you can redistribute between the community, that would be a great potential customer.
Maybe there's like an enterprise, a bit more of an enterprise play into councils. What I love about this, what I just love is that you could literally start this business now. I could literally come out here and there is a row of garages around the back of my house. I walk past and I fleetingly sometimes think, I wonder if anyone uses those. Probably they don't. And there's 40 garages there. And none of them have phone numbers that I've seen, but you know which. I'm pretty sure you could make a guess as to, you could just leaflet the local area, couldn't you, and go, cool, do you own a garage? Blah, blah, blah. We're going to monetize it for you. Make, £100 a month from your garage or whatever the market rate is. You just pound the leaflets out. So we just make the leaflet. We design the leaflet. I get me little bag, get on my bike. I'd have 1,000 of those delivered by tonight. You'd have incoming calls. And then you just have a one-page website, paid ads, to get I haven't looked at the SEO, but I'm sure there's SEO on it as well. And I think you're doing a deal within 3 days if you got paid ads and you're doing that properly. And the legals are done. That's straightforward. I love it. That is what I love about that is scale, simplicity, demand, and just speed. You've done a deal in a week. I hate businesses where you have to hack around for building sophisticated stuff. I think that might be your number one of all time, and I think probably because it's come from like actually
massive frustration,
actual problem. Yeah,
and I know what I'm doing. Right, I know my way around the tech to try and find the stuff. I know how to negotiate. I know how to communicate with people and get people to hopefully come, walk in my direction. Been an absolute shit show. Really has. I
love it. I actually would like to dig into this one further, but I've got a hard stop. So,
right.
Great idea. Yeah. Love it.
Okay. Right. Cheers, Doug. Thank you for entertaining. Thank you for boosting I think that's probably the best response I've had from an idea from you. Maybe Blomley will think that was a good one as well. Probably won't.
He should do. Should do. I'll tell you if I think it's shit.
Yeah. All right. Until next time, buddy. Take care, mate. Bye now.